Let's get into it. David Lombardi joins us at Lombardi himself, does a tremendous job covering the 49ers for The Athletic. You need to read all his great stuff in there as we get you prepared for the draft. And David joins us courtesy of the Uma Guest Line. What's happening? How are you?
Doing great. How are you? I'm about to get in the Bay in like 30 minutes. It's going to be great. It's nice and sunny. So
nice.
Gotta get my mind right. I'm going up to Sacramento to visit a friend after I teach my class up in the College of Marin today. And I'm going to the game tomorrow night, too. So I got kind of the perfect Bay Area sports week. Yeah.
We're
going to go check it out at Golden One Center. I love Golden One Center. I think they did a good job with that arena. Nice. I can't wait to see it in the playoffs.
Oh, it's going to be bananas.
So when you get in, is it wetsuit or is it warm enough now? How do you do that? It's pretty cold, isn't it?
I can go without the wetsuit, but I'm going to use the wetsuit just because I'm not feeling – I'm not as acclimated to this cold water right now because I've been spending most of the time in Nashville here past couple of months, and I don't do any open water out there. I swim at the gym and this heated pool, and everything's all nice. But the cold water makes you feel better than anything. It's so good for your health. So right now I'm not quite ready to go without a wetsuit, but in a couple months I'll be good to go.
Very nice. All right, so you've got some pieces that we want to talk about, but just your takeaways from John Lynch, from talking about Trey Lance and Nick Bosa, Brandon Ayuk, draft stuff. There was a ton that he discussed. What were your takeaways from John Lynch yesterday?
Well, I don't think it was anything surprising. I think a lot of people are trying to be in a situation right now where they're making drama out of nothing. So obviously the 49ers have a price for Trey Lance. They've got two other quarterbacks, and they have one who they've declared their favorite in Brock Purdy. But he's also hurt right now, so they're sitting on a lot of uncertainty, I guess I would say. And with that uncertainty, the value of Trey Lance to the 49ers is higher than it would be if both Sam Darnold and Brock Purdy were healthy. So I think that John Lynch essentially broadcast that uncertainty. He didn't close the door on anything because that's the reality of the situation. If somebody turned around and offered the 49ers 2 first-round picks or Trey Lance, they'd ship him out immediately. That's not going to happen, though, because he's currently more valuable to the 49ers than he would be to anybody else. As far as Brandon Ayuk goes, it's a different situation, but similar circumstances. With Brandon Ayuk, the 49ers, the way that I look at their team building, they try to acquire players that they either develop or already are A-list players. Like Nick Bosa, the moment that he walked through the door in 2019, he was an A-list player. And they like to keep their A-list players. They like to pay those A-listers. That's how they build their football team within the growing salary cap. It gets bigger almost every year. The only exception was in 2021. And if you're a B-list player, you're a C-list player, they could still value you, but they're probably not going to re-sign you to big money. They almost certainly won't re-sign you to big money. And they try to replenish those spots through the draft. Right now, the 49ers are in the process of figuring out if Brandon Ayuk is going to be an A-list player for them. He put up a 1,000-yard receiving season in 2022. If he turns around and does that again in 2023, I think he's going to qualify. And I think the 49ers hope that he qualifies as one. But they're not going to make that decision until they absolutely have to. And if he doesn't qualify under that A-list bracket, well, then that's a player the 49ers might look to move if the price is right moving forward. But they just have to keep this cap sustainable, and that's their formula to do so.
Deadlines prompt actions. Even John, when you guys asked him about picking up his fifth-year option with Ayuk and Javon Kinlaw, he said, I'm not going to do it until after the draft, and he doesn't have to do it till Monday, so they'll do it at the appropriate time, which leads, the draft is kind of a tipping point. And, obviously it's acquiring some of the capital you traded away, draft capital, to get Trey and also Christian. So the timing, and I think we'll know more if the 49ers draft a quarterback sometime this weekend, David. But maybe it's not the time to trade Trey Lance right now in light of Brock Purdy's physical condition. They know more at that 12-week mark on June the 2nd. And also the $11 million in dead money that they would have to absorb. That would be, they could push that back and defer that, half of that, if they do it June 1. So if they draft a quarterback sometime this weekend and Brock Purdy does come out of it well on June the 2nd, resumes throwing, and they're optimistic, would that change their outlook on a possible Trey Lance trade?
More certain certainty they have at the quarterback position, obviously the better platform they would be on to make a move. The issue is that, like you just said, any potential Brock Purdy certainty or any growth in certainty probably won't happen until June, and that's going to be after the draft, and that will be outside of a advantageous Trey Lance trade window. So I think that the way, all paths lead to the same conclusion, that it's unlikely that they trade Trey Lance because it's highly unlikely that anybody offers something that would be worth the 49ers' time at this point. It was a similar situation with Jimmy Garoppolo last year. Again, different circumstances, but similar situation. And the 49ers obviously held on to Jimmy Garoppolo, and they enjoyed the quarterback option power that they had as a result. So at this point, the 49ers need as many darts as possible to throw up against the wall at the QB position, because you're not sure what's going to be a bullseye, because even your most proven option, which is Brock Purdy at this point, has plentiful questions surrounding him due to health. And Sam Darnold is a reclamation project of sorts. I'll tell you what, though, I think that they do believe that there's a path for each one of these three quarterbacks to have a very positive outcome for them in 2023. Maybe somebody has a higher percentage chance of reaching that than the next guy, but you maximize your chances of success if you have all three of these darts to throw at the wall, and then they might pick up another dart here in the draft this weekend through a rookie quarterback.
David Lombardi is joining us. Draft coverage on Thursday. Pop will be down there at the facility both Thursday and Friday, so make sure that you tune into everything. And David's got great insight into the draft. Where they're picking, obviously, it's not like picking in the first round where we could speculate or mock or something like that. But position-wise, it seems pretty obvious. They need some competition at least at right tackle. They need an edge opposite Bosa. How are you looking at this draft? And could, because they've got 11 picks, do you expect them to move around a little bit?
Well, they said that they wanted to move around last year, but the opportunity never presented itself. So I wouldn't be shocked if they tried to move around again if they have a player that they really like and they need to move up 10 spots. Or, the truth is that they don't have a lot of draft capital in terms of the point value on the chart. They actually have the least draft capital in the league, despite the fact that they have 11 picks. And again, it's another example of, maybe these assets are more valuable to the 49ers than they are to other teams just because they've been so good at drafting between the third to seventh rounds, which is where all their picks are. Fred Warner was a third rounder. George Kittle was a fifth rounder. Brock Purdy was a seventh rounder. So the 49ers really believe that they have a demonstrated track record of making hay with the picks that they have. They also believe that this draft is much more deep than it is top heavy. They don't think it's a particularly good draft in the first and second rounds. And I think a lot of analysts around the league not affiliated with the 49ers agree with that. So, I think the 49ers are just in a position where they want to make the best use possible of the 11 picks that they have, follow the process that's been so good for them in years prior, and see where it ends up.
Yeah, one thing John noted at his presser, which we carried live, David, yesterday, was quality of depth in the draft. He likes where they are at 99, 101, 102, then all the day three picks. So we heard from John yesterday, but then a bunch of 49er players were made available. One was Christian McCaffrey, and you got a big piece in The Athletic right now about how CMC is glowing about his new 49er teammate, an old teammate, because he worked with Sam Darnold in Carolina, knew him from the Pac-12 days. Give me your thoughts on what CMC had to say about Sam. And then I know you yourself have gone back and watched the last 6 games, every snap from Sam Darnold's end of his run in Carolina. So what did Christian say, and what are you seeing with your eyes when you watch Sam Darnold?
Well, the interesting thing from Christian was he said that Sam Darnold was compromised by injuries that the public didn't necessarily know about. And it sounds like that happened in both New York and Carolina. He missed a little bit of time, but it sounds like even when Darnold was playing, there was something going on behind the scenes that might have hurt his play. And Christian McCaffrey was adamant about that. He volunteered that information himself. So to me, that was interesting. As far as studying Darnold's game, it obviously wasn't good in New York. It wasn't good in 2021 with Carolina. But those final 6 games of 2022, the efficiency numbers popped off the screen. So that's the first thing. You see the numbers and then you go and watch the tape and you're saying, well, what's he doing well? What's causing this efficiency to be so good? And it was how he set up yards after the catch last year. He was missing gimmies. He was throwing way too many interceptions in his first few years in the league. But over those final 6 games with Carolina in 2022, they had the best yak offense in the league, better than even the 49ers. And, Carolina was 1, 49ers were 2. And I think that right there floored Kyle Shanahan, who liked him even before that, right? Kyle Shanahan liked Sam Darnold's physical skill set coming out of USC. But the fact that he managed an offense that tried to do a lot of the same things that the 49ers do, moving guys around positionless skill position weapons, setting up yards after the catch with some shorter throws that have to be in time and on schedule. The way that Sam Darnold did that over the final 6 games of the season to be, if that were extrapolated over a longer stretch, he would have been a top 5 efficiency guy. I think that made Kyle Shanahan say, this is a guy worth taking a bet on. And it's not even that big of a bet because the contract is expandable based on incentives. So they said, hey, at the very worst, he's going to be a serviceable backup. At best, this could be a quarterback whose skill set is finally unlocked in our offense because the final 6 games of Carolina indicated that he's headed in the right direction. And because of that, this contract range is anywhere from $4 million to over $11 million. That's just based on play time and how Sam Darnold performs. So I think that's what the 49ers saw, and they're able to sign Darnold to a contract that reflects, the two possible, the two possible extremes in the reality.
Great stuff, David. We appreciate it. We're reading all your stuff. We'll see you down there on Thursday. Enjoy the swim and enjoy Golden One Center, man. That's going to be bananas. That's going to be fun.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. Yeah, I can't wait. You know that the 49ers fan base in basketball terms is divided between the Kings and the Warriors. So I think this is a super cool series for 49ers fans in the offseason because Sacramento is very much 49ers territory.
Absolutely. Thanks, man. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Talk to you soon.
See you, man.
Thanks.